Well, that powerful theme song can only mean one thing. It's high noon Central Time and time for another Ball Publishing webinar. Greetings, everybody. I'm Chris Beytes, editor of GrowerTalks and Green Profit magazines and email newsletter Acres Online, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar, New Plants for 2018, Part 1. Today starts our two-part journey through the most interesting new offerings from the California Spring Trials. Now, the actual trip is a long, strange journey, and this two-part webinar series could prove to be the same. And I don't want to do it alone. So who better for a travel companion than my fellow trade magazine editor and 8-year veteran, I believe, of covering the trials with me, Ellen Wells. Welcome, Ellen.
Greetings, everyone.
And, you know, for those of you who don't know, Ellen is a Green Profit editor-at-large and editor of the world-famous Buzz e-newsletter. You just sent one out this morning, as a matter of fact. And also, she just, I believe, last Saturday celebrated her 9th anniversary as a freelance editor with Ball Publishing. Congratulations. And I'm kind of amazed you stuck with me that long.
Well,
it's everybody else who keeps you here.
Someone's got to stick with you, Chris.
I greatly appreciate that. Thanks so much. And you always find a unique New England-esque spot to broadcast from when you do these webinars with me. Where are you today?
That's right. I am at beautiful Wrexham Beach in Marshfield, Massachusetts. Actually, that's not today. That was from the 4th of July, but the past 3 days have been exactly like that. Beautiful.
I was going to say, you sound a little echoey for being on the beach somehow. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a beautiful spot there. I am not broadcasting from this location. This is the NHRA Route 66 Nationals being held today through Sunday, about an hour south of here. If I was there, you wouldn't be able to hear me talk because that's about 20,000 horsepower going down the track right there. But I'll be there tomorrow. So don't look for me around my palatial Ball Publishing office where I am today. Anyway, now a couple of little housekeeping things. Carol brings up a good point. She says, is there sound? Yes, Carol cannot hear me right now, but I hope Carol is reading this to find out how to connect to the sound. All the rest of you have managed that. It takes a time or two before you figure out what to click on, but hopefully Carol is reading about clicking on Communicate this and selecting the integrated voice conference. And she just typed me a thanks message. Beautiful. So we got her hooked up. Hey, speaking of thanks, how about a thanks to our generous sponsor, Ball Flora Plant, for putting
Thank you, Ball Flora Plant.
Do you know what they do, Ellen? They put the free in free webinar.
That's right. They do. Thank you.
Now, as we go along, if you've got questions about these varieties, type them into the chat or the Q&A area. We'll try to address them. Keep in mind, we are not technical specialists for any of these companies. And we're going to tell you pretty much everything we know about the variety. So if you get much more technical than what you already hear with your questions, you're going to probably want to go directly to the breeding company or your broker of choice. But hey, we could try anyway, right? And if Jen Zerka was here, I would have her sitting beside me with a bunch of catalogs and all her trial books to try to really go in depth. Lastly, if something happens and you can't stick with us, this webinar will be archived at the usual spot, ballpublishing.com/webinars. And last but not least, I always toss this in because, well, if you've ever been to spring trials, you know there are well over 1,000 introductions, new and improved and you name it, and there's no way we could show you all that. You don't have that much time, and neither do we, frankly. So this is kind of the best of our best, what really stood out to us. It's not everything. The only way to see it all is to go to spring trials yourself. And if you want to know how to do that, well, shoot me an email at some point. So, Ellen, you set?
I am. Let's go.
All right. Let's climb in the Bobblehead F-150 and hit the road. These are going to be presented in the order that we saw them, which seems to make perfect sense. And if the first stop was the biggest, it's the Ball Company's something like 8 or 9 different divisions / brands, however you want to define them. They're on display. And Pan American Seed was the first company who grabbed us and toured us around, where we saw a new Penta series called Lucky Stars. Now, there's a lot of Pentas on the market. This is a brand new one. And the breeder who you're looking at right there, Jason Jandrew, said his goal was to be more compact than Butterfly, but not a Me Too. He was competing against the Graffiti and the Be Bright series. Now, Lucky Star is said to be earlier, 46 days earlier, puts up secondary blooms fast for continuous color, tested in a wide range of climates, Texas, the Midwest, Thailand. He says they threw as much humidity at it as possible. 6 colors in the series. Violet, which I think is the one he is holding there, is a breakthrough as well. And what was also interesting, check this out. Let me get the slide to change there. This is our friend Birdie. I forget her last name. I'm sorry. Those were actual packs. What? Very first stop, first variety we look at, packs, side-by-side pack comparisons of the new Lucky Stars compared to the competition. So there you go. It is pack trials, Ellen, in case you doubt me.
Well, yes.
All right.
Okay, next up, plug and play. So you remember the fuse bowls and those things called the wave medleys. Well, they are now part of a larger program called Plug and Play. And this program has about more than 60 seed combinations that have been tested to play nicely with one another. Everyone wants to play nicely. So what you get with this Plug and Play is you get some recipes, some really cool looking recipes, some of them which you can see right there, plus some key tips for growing. And I believe they mentioned that you also get some diagrams if you're interested in potting them up in a certain way. And of course,
diagrams. There you go.
Yeah. And of course, your sales rep has all the tools that you need to order the combos by name. So check that out.
Very good. So it's a big, wide program. I always like to look for new introductions. Caliber Color, very popular series. Crave is Pan American Seed series. Still the only seed Caliber Color on the market. And they introduced Strawberry Star, which they say is I think it's the first star in seed Caliber Color. So Pan American Seed is really working hard on the seed things. And how about this real pretty Osteo Seeds Osteo series?
Yeah, I like it. It's the I think it's called Aquila or Aquila. It's the Grand Canyon mix, and so apparently it's named after the colors of the Grand Canyon when the sun is rising and setting.
They actually had a little Grand Canyon made that they had that lined with the plants. I didn't put a picture of it in here.
And I believe this is you can't separate out the colors. It's the first mix made out of, wait, it's not the first mix made out of separate colors. That's what I think.
It is just a mix now, but whether or not they'll be able to separate the colors, that's what we'll wait to see.
Possibly.
Here's one. Now, this is interesting because we only have limited time at any trial, and we always say, show us the highlights. This is one they didn't show us, but I spotted it in the corner, and I love ornamental oregano. This is called Kirigami. Don't know much more about it other than that is a beautiful plant. You say you've got a soft spot for these too, Ellen.
I like it. I like it a lot. I went to a boutique garden center near me, and they had one of these. I'm not sure if it's the same variety, but they had an ornamental oregano, and it was quite pretty, quite big.
I like the texture and the color. Very hip.
Yep.
All right. Veggies, Ellen.
That's right. I like me some veggies. So we're at the Pan American Seed, the hand-picked veggies, the stuff that they really like, some really unique stuff. A bunch of peppers this year, such as the snack pepper called Candy Cane Red. That's the one over on the left. And it's called Candy Cane because it's striped. It also has a variegated leaf. So the leaf that you see there with little splotches of light green or white on them, that's variegation.
Yeah, you thought your pepper in your garden had a deficiency.
I did.
Then you just found out it was variegated, didn't you?
I lost the tag, so I didn't know what pepper plant that was.
Well, now you know.
Exactly. And the one to the right of that is called pepper ají rico. It's a capsicum picatum species that's native to Peru and Bolivia. It's said to have some nice citrus and floral notes to it. It's normally a late item to ripen, but this one is bred to be a bit earlier. So normally, a plant like this would be about 90 days to ripen. But if you want it ripe to eat green, it takes about 55 days, and ripe to eat red, about 75. It's a little bit like a jalapeno in its heat. Also to note, it's a big plant, so not for containers, tons of fruit, and one last note, it's an All-America Selections winner. So that says something.
Well, then you know it's good.
Yeah. Oh, also, just to mention, they also had a nice tomato, not pictured. It's called Midnight Snack. It's an indeterminate cherry type. A little bit of a, I guess it's like a reddish yellowy color with a black, call them shoulders. So that is also an AAF winner.
Yeah, it didn't have a picture of that one, but looked like a tasty one anyway. Ball acquired a company called Xplant out of the Netherlands, no, Denmark, excuse me, earlier this year, late last year, and they brought in a lot of ornamental peppers, or capsicums, as they like to call them, and so those are now part of the Pan America Selection potted plants. And here's a couple of them, just to give you an idea. Acapulco is the red one, and then Zamora is the black and gold. A lot of people are saying, boy, sports teams like the Pirates would be good.
Steelers.
Steelers, right? So
same city.
And they also do some snack peppers as well. In fact, they say that IKEA in Europe was supposedly tested 380,000 of these Xplant snack peppers. So that's kind of interesting.
That's right. Moving along to Burpee. We've got a whole bunch of tomatoes from them. One that's not pictured here is a paste tomato, or like a Roma type tomato. This one's called Gladiator, or the one that pictured is called Gladiator. This one, however, is called Oh Happy Days. And this one has been bred to be early blight and late blight resistant. Sign me up. And also has great flavor.
Yeah, it's rare to see a tomato in like full fruit out there because of the timing and everything else. And all the plants look alike unless they're variegated. So sorry we can't show you the finished fruit. Here's some finished fruit though. In fact, taste. You showed me this picture, Ellen, and now I remember trying Dragon Roll.
That's right.
I'd forgotten about that.
Didn't take a picture of the plant, but here's the finished product. This is a shishito pepper, popular in Japan actually. These are peppers that 1 in 10 or thereabouts is very spicy, kind of hot. So it's kind of fun to sit around and eat these and see if you get one. What you do to eat them is you blister them or flash fry them, and you know, squeeze a little bit of acid on it and dip it in that nice little sour cream dipping sauce. Very cool. And this is in the Burpee Foodie collection. So if you've got customers who are foodies looking for unique vegetables, that is something to put on your list.
Yeah, play shishito roulette.
That's right. Here's another pepper. This one is actually in the Take Two not program, but it's a Take Two. It's where you put 2 plants in one container and they grow well together. This is a pepper called Director's Cut. The Take Two is called Director's Cut, and it's composed of lemon and tangerine dream peppers. And lemon happens to be a sport of tangerine.
Yeah, that's part of their space savers where you put 2 in one pot and you get twice as much variety on your patio.
That's right. That's right. And then there's also another Take Two that has a tomatoes with indigo fire, which is a cherry type, and a bush steak, which is a beef steak type.
Right. And lastly, they showed us, we've seen it kind of along here in some of the pots, updated branding for the 141-year-old company. They wanted to make it a little bit more contemporary, modern, and fun, and yet still maintain that history. So Burpee's working hard to keep everything interesting and relevant. Now we're going to move on to Ball, Flora Plant, and Calibracoa. Conga series gets a bunch of new colors. Lavender, dark blue, rose, and pink are new here. The one on the far left was an improvement, I believe. And then a couple of really pretty colors here, Sunset Kiss and Orange Kiss. kind of those terracotta types. And then what they're saying about congas is they're compact but still vigorous, 20% more vigorous than Cala Petite, they say. And they add, this could prove it, that it's the largest compact caliber koa series on the market. That's a
love that display, by the way.
That's pretty nice. So that's the conga caliber koas. This is another one you said you've got in your garden, Ellen.
I do, and it's doing really well. This is Salvia Misty. It's a less dominant type than Mystic Spires. Grows a little bit smaller, about 25 to 30% less vigorous, so it's great for small spaces, great for summer combinations, and it flowers all season. So check with me in October, and I'll let you know if it's still flowering.
They had some in combos there. They looked really nice. You kind of just see them on the edges there. Great color. We're going to see a lot of blue today. But onto Lantana. I like, speaking of blue, Bloomify. This is Lantana Bloomify. What's unique about this is that it has been certified sterile by my alma mater, University of Florida. So it won't multiply out in the landscape, won't be considered invasive if you happen to grow somewhere down south where that's an issue with your local rule makers. It doesn't make seed pods, so it doesn't go out of flower. It's a tad later than the series Lucky, maybe a week or two, but it's not considered a late variety by any means. It starts in two colors, red, which you're looking at there, and rose, which always makes me think of either a sunset or a slice of rare roast beef.
That's doing well in my garden as well.
Here's one you don't have in your garden, but you said you wish you did.
Yes. Why did I not get a sample? Anyway, this is Ipomea Solar Tower. Now, this is a climbing sweet potato vine. I think it's the first one of its kind. And there's two colors, as you can see, lime and black. Talk about adding height and drama to your containers or your trellis or to anything that grows vertically. It certainly does that. It's a fast grower. In fact, I have in my notes that Chris Carlson said, and I quote, "It's a monster," in a good way.
Yeah, 10 minutes after this picture was snapped, we have to go after him with a machete to get him out of there. Grow.
It's a good way to add some money to your containers because it's a premium product.
Right. There's a picture of not only the solar tower, but also you've got Salvia Misty there as well. Pretty looking container there. So.
Yep.
Anyway, how about some perennials? Kieft Seeds does Ball's seed perennial stuff. This is a new dianthus called Rockin' Red. It's an interspecific. They won't go into the details or they'd have to kill us. They just said Barbados X interspecific. But they say because of that, it gives you really good, dependable garden performance. It's a knee-high plant, as you can see, more than knee-high to those M&Ms back there. For sure. Great for early spring, responsive to PGRs, and will grow in zones 4 to 8, so pretty broad range except down south.
Lavender. So, Chris, I looked this up. This is a lavender stachys, which is known both as French lavender and Spanish lavender. So
we were discussing that earlier during our rehearsal. We couldn't quite remember which was which. They're both the same, you say?
It's the same. This is Bandera pink, and Bandera in Spanish means flag. So I'm going to call this a Spanish lavender because of that name. It's the first pink lavender from seed.
And the pink one's on the left, and the purple one, the existing one, is on the right there.
Oh, I thought that was just a shadow. But okay.
Nope, two different varieties.
Okay.
That's the kind of photos I take so you can compare.
Okay, zone 7.
And I'm zone 5. Just have to do this for the summer, I guess.
And I'm
in more perennial news, this is interesting because we don't talk a lot about seed quality anymore. Heck, we don't talk that much about seed these days, which is unfortunate because there's still plenty of it out there. But Kieft and Ball. Ball has massive seed technology resources, and Keith is running a lot of their seed through it now. For instance, they showed primed coreopsis seed with an 85% germ standard, which has got to be pretty good. They're also doing lavender and some other crops. And we've got a new perennial forcing guide for spring and fall available as well. So plenty of resources. It's not just about great varieties. And both other perennial company, Darwin, which handles the vegetative products, they had several nice ones. This is an armeria called Dreamaria. Now, armerias are traditionally pretty tall, and they only bloom spring and fall. Dreamaria is more compact, and it blooms all season long. I mean, what more could you want than that? There's 2 colors available right now. Daydream, which is on the right, which is pink, and Sweet Dreams, and they were on the left, which is a little more lavender color. These are zone 6 perennials. You can handle that one, Ellen.
Yes, I can. And I can handle this one. This is Dianthus Mountain Frost, and they're calling this a true landscape dianthus. So what does that mean? Well, it means it's a multi-year performer, and it does well over multiple years, obviously. Many just peter out, especially you know, in the middle of the plant, but this just keeps going. Zone 5 to 9. There's 6 colors. One of them is a double, and that is called Pom Pom, which is that one over to the upper left. Pink Pom Pom.
There you go. Salvia nemorosa Rose Marvel joins Blue Marvel. Big flowers, intense color. I think that's Blue Marvel you see in the background there. So
Marvel.
New, and this would contrast nicely with anything that we've seen so far. Is anything whiter than an Iberis?
I don't think so, but this is Iberis snowsation. Great name. Big flowers, as you can tell, and it's on a compact plant. Plant gets about 8 inches tall or so, and it's sterile. So no seed set, which means it just will, you know, bloom, bloom, bloom for a long time. Zone 4, early spring, and it's a great color.
Yes, and white is a color.
White is all of the colors.
Especially for a garden. Here is something with some white in it. This is Petunia Pink Sky. It joins Night Sky, which was the talk of the trials last year, and they put it into a new series called Headliner. Headliners are their biggest petunias, and they say they've got more colors in this coming. So that's Pink Sky. I'm
waiting for the white version to come out.
White with white dots.
Yeah.
Nice. How do you know it's not already there? And you just maybe it's Iberis. So this is just a quick shot. Lots of new petunias in their 3 series. Headliners to the left, there you see Night Sky and Pink Sky together. Main stage, they're mid-sized, and then Starlets are their slightly more compact. Quite a few new colors in all of those. I love Calibrachoa doubles, and there aren't too many out there. Select the One has the lock on it, although they've now shared that technology with one other distribution company out there. But double silver blue, I just thought was just a really pretty color, so I wanted to be sure to include.
It's like a blue rose.
It is that nice mauve-y sort of a shade, isn't it?
That's right. Next up is this Osteospermum Daisy Falls. This is from Selecta One. Daisy Falls because it is a trailing osteo. They have had great feedback on this. Great in summer and fall and up to the frost. I might have some in my tree well. I think I might have gotten some as a sample. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know about that. So it's similar to Voltage. There's several different colors here: pink, white amethyst, and purple. And they have some doubles in the pipeline. Oh, and it's also found in the new Trixie Daisy Falls mix.
All right, so let's get into some well, they had a big relaunch of the geraniums. All of Selecta One's geraniums recategorized. They're putting all their genetics together into the best series. adding new ones, rearranging. They wanted to give you the best, and they wanted to kind of economize their supply chain. They're going to produce all of them in Kenya now. Biggest story to me was a whole new series called Marcata, which is one of those interspecific types where it crosses a zonal and an ivy. This particular one leans a little more towards ivy geranium, as you kind of see from those flowers, so that would compete with the Calientes from Syngenta. Now on to Ball Ingenuity, Ellen.
That's right.
Edible.
Exactly. They've been focusing on some the edible trend lately. Last year, they did that with the Sweet Kiss strawberry. This year, they've gone the blackberry route. This year, they have polar berry, white blackberry. White fruit on second year cane, and it comes as a tissue culture liner. Premium product, and it will do really well if you sell it with the available packaging.
There you go. And they've had some celosia out there, Twisted, which I just love the name, and they've got those brain style or coral style heads on them. Twisted Yellow is a new one. Joins Twisted Orange and Twisted Red. It's a sister variety, you might say.
Quite nice. Twisted sister. Haha, I got it. I've been obsessed with canna lately, as people might have noticed. And so now they have introduced a new canova. This one is called Bronze Orange. It's a F1 seed variety. Bronze Scarlet is their #1 seller. And I think this orange is a really nice compliment. Look at those leaves. Beautiful.
That is a striking variety right there. And lastly from Ball Ingenuity, orchids. They're doing, several companies out there now, a Bud to Blossom orchid program. They're basically pre-finished orchids. They come in from 3H Farms in Texas, already pre-initiated. All you have to do is stick them on a bench under about 60% shade and give them plenty of humidity, and you'll have finished plants in 10 to 12 weeks, they say. You can also do small quantities, depending upon the variety, maybe 36 to 50 per case. So it'd be good for retail growers. Also good for retail growers because it's not cheap, probably $12 a pot wholesale. That includes the stakes and the clips, but you'll need a decorative pot. But if you've got the clientele to handle that, you can do your own orchids through Ball Ingenuity.
Quite nice. That's right. Moving on to Star Flowers and Plants. It's their first time exhibiting at Spring Trials, and they had some really nice stuff to show us. So they have 3 new knockout roses, and we've got the picture's a little washed out here, but there's a white, a coral, and a peachy. And actually, there's a 4th color. The 4th color is Drift Lemon, and that is more of a spreading landscape rose. And I had it in my notes that these were the first intros in 8 years. I might be wrong, but that's what I had written down.
There you go. We got a quick question about Iberis from Denise. I'm going to try to tackle. Actually, I was Googling while you were talking, Ellen. I apologize.
Really?
I don't know if Iberis will work in the heat and humidity of coastal Texas. From what I can tell, not quite. It's sort of a zone 9 maximum, so probably not going to take extreme conditions like what you have down there. So, but if someone wants to correct me on that, Iberis in coastal Texas, let me know. Maybe Mike Klontmeyer will weigh in from across the hall.
Okay. The Bushel and Berry. It's part of Star Roses and Plants now. This was our first time seeing the new branding going on. It used to be the Brazelberries, but now it's Bushel and Berry with that, I would say, trademark pot color. You can see it in retail this year already. And one of the new varieties that they had here was something called a Baby Cakes Blackberry, which is a thornless and dwarf blackberry. So these obviously are not ripe yet.
Right. If you wonder where the color comes from, you see the little market basket there in the wooden tray?
Oh, okay.
Well, that's how they got that particular shade of blue. So
Okay, I was thinking like Tiffany.
oh, that's nice too. It's a good look. I got to say, I like that. And I saw a lot of it at retail this year, so we're starting to see that. All right, last but not least, by any means, Morel showed quite a few new cyclamen, but my favorite, as shown off by my friend Florence here, is Fun Flame Magenta. It's part of the Halios series, and I just love the airbrushed look, the tips on those flowers. Or maybe they were dipped in sugar, colored sugar.
Could be.
You'd think I wouldn't be still hungry after all that fried chicken, but you know. All right, next stop, we're going right around the corner to Floranova, and the news here is that Floranova did not exhibit last year. They had another project going on with a new facility down in South America, if I'm not mistaken. So they had 2 years worth of stuff to show, which I tell you is a prime reason why you will never hear me advocating for going to an every other year schedule with spring trials like some people have suggested, because the years when we have a trial would be overload. There's just no way, because we had to look at 2 years worth of stuff from even a humble breeder like Floranova, and it took us all morning long. But let's dive into it. This is 2017 products. This is new for this year. This is the first one is an African marigold called Cheerleader. Their first dwarf African marigold. Not an early one, but they want great garden performance. So it's maybe 3 days later than some of the Africans you may grow, but they give great garden performance with secondary flowers coming on fast and in the 3 colors you'd expect from your marigold series.
I am a fan of phlox, and I was a fan of these phlox Pop Stars. Great name. It is their first F1 phlox, and it has star-shaped flowers. I believe that 21st Century Phlox is the only other F1 phlox out there. It takes both cool temps and heat, and it's disease resistant. Comes in 6 colors.
All right, drum roll please, because this is Ellen's favorite new variety name.
That's right. Snapdragon, Crackle, and Pop. Get it? Love it. Love the name. Best new name of the trial, definitely. But it is a standard pack type series, competing with the likes of Montego and Floral Showers. Uniform bloom and habit is pretty uniform as well. Early flowering, strong stems, comes in 8 colors. I certainly like the one over on the left.
Snap, Crackle, and Pop. There you go. How about Celosia Bright Sparks is a new series that competes with the New Look series. 3 colors, yellow, scarlet, and deep rose. Big, dense plumes, and bred in India by a partner company, they say. So it should take some of that Texas-style heat and humidity, I would guess. And then the Pansy Freefall XL is sort of I won't say an improvement on their Freefall series, because they're keeping both series, at least for the time being. But XL is kind of the next generation, and they're positioning it against Cool Waves of all things. It's got kind of a mounding, trailing habit with larger flowers than their Freefall series, and XL is going to be priced a bit higher than the regular Freefalls as well. And now we're going back in time to what we would have seen and reported on in 2016.
That's right. We've got a Nemesia here. It's called Seventh Heaven. It's a F1 seed Nemesia. Could possibly be just one of 2 seed Nemesia, F1 seed Nemesias out there. Compact, branching habit to it, 4 colors. They've got a bicolor, a lavender bicolor, which they say is the first bicolor from seed. Frost tolerance, fast crop time too, 9 to 10 weeks to flower.
I wonder why didn't I take a picture of the lavender bicolor? What was my problem? It's probably in my files.
I may have one.
This is a nice one. Quantum Geranium. This is another F1. Remember, these are all seed varieties from Floranova. And Quantum is an F1 stellar type, the little star flowers, which generally come from cuttings, not from seed. It's naturally compact. You don't need PGRs. A little bit later than your other typical seed geraniums, maybe a week or two. And it starts out with 3 different colors and a mix. White is not available as a separate yet, but they may go ahead and separate that out next year, they say. And lastly, from Floranova, Ellen?
That's right, we got some Cosmos. This is Cosmos Apollo. It's bred for dense branching, and their big flower petals ensure that there are no gaps between the petals. So it looks like one solid big old flower. It's about knee-high, about 6 inches shorter than Sonatas. And there are 3 colors and a mix. You've got pink, white, carmine, and the mix is called Love Song.
There you go. Eventually somebody's going to introduce the Kramer series. That's what I'm waiting for with that one. But now, green. Let's go not across the street, across the sidewalk to Green Fuse Botanicals, which was sharing space or loaned or rented space to Floranova. And the first variety that we saw is their Cruise Control Calibrachoa. Cruise Control, great name for an upgrade of their Cruise series. It's got large flowers, just like Cruise, but a more controlled plant habit. But don't think of it as like a compact series. In fact, looking at the varieties there, you can tell this is not sort of a compact, tight-mounted sort of a thing. Steve Jones likes to maintain what he calls a homeowner habit on his plants. This is, you know, not your basic grower habit. I asked him how many colors. He wasn't sure. At least a dozen. Lots of colors. Maybe they'll have to, I would say, duke it out with the congas, but that's a compact series, and this definitely isn't.
The red one's beautiful.
Yeah, that was one of their highlights there. Speaking of beautiful, Good and Plenty petunias, which is sort of their multi-purpose petunia for pots, baskets, beds, gets a couple of improvements, but this is a new one called Purple Splash. And I really liked the combination of the white and the, doesn't really look purpley here, but I think that's just the way the camera reads it. And then in the Petunia QT, or Quality Tunia series, which is kind of a low or no PGR bench run type series, several new colors, blue, white, and a really nice experimental yellow, which they say is a pretty big deal as well. So
Fuchsias. You spelled fuchsia wrong there.
I mess it. Oh boy, I've never spelled it that way before.
I wish I saw more fuchsias around. I tell you that, I love them. This is the Wind Chimes series. An added color here is pink lilac, and that accurately describes the color mix on that flower. And this one is bred for larger flowers. So it's fuchsia, Wind Chimes, pink lilac.
I kind of spelled it phonetically. Fuchsia. It's not so bad.
Oh, and then we've got the lupins. I love these lupins. This is the Lupin Staircase series. We saw it last year as part of their first look or soft launch, and there is a full introduction of it now. So it's day length neutral, and the blooms are actually based on the temperature. So once you turn the temperature above 70, you'll have flower buds initiating, and you'll get flowers in 10 to 14 days. And it blooms for a long time too, 2 to 3 months, and there are more colors coming.
Yeah, one of the talks of the trials last year and this year, so that's a good. I've actually got another picture in there. Just kind of shows more of the same, but those are pretty.
Very nice.
And real quick, and last year those were shown as a first look, which is kind of letting distributors and growers look at stuff and say, yeah, I like that. In which case, Green Fuse goes forward with it, and this Verbena Vivid Swirl White Lavender fit in that category, and I love it. But I've already told you that I like any of these multicolored bouquet type flowers, so that's a part of the first look. And then lastly, some Rex begonias, Ellen, which are part of their lifestyle plants, meaning indoor or patio.
That's right, and I love Rex begonias. And what we have here are 2 of them in the Shadow King series. We have a Strawberry Sherbet, which sherbet, which is the lime green and pink one. And then we have spearmint, which is the one in the lower right. It's more of a minty coloring to it. And then we've got the dibs. You know, this is new. The dibs collection are the Rex begonias that are larger, really large flowers and not flowers, leaves, and also big growers. So these are not for your typical 4-inch pots. They work great indoors and out, and there are 7 colors in all. And just to say, there were some items in the Shadow Kings that Steve had pulled out. He had pulled out Rothko and Moonlight and put them into the Dibs collection because they were more accurately aligned with those characteristics for the larger collection.
I've got dibs on dibs.
Ha!
All right, we're going to drive over to Oxnard and GroLink, which is a massive collection. I think there's something like 14 or 15 companies exhibiting at this place. And so we pulled out just a few highlights from each of them. The first is a company called Ameriseed, which is a Thai company. They're from Thailand. And they've breed some pretty interesting seed varieties that are said to do really well under American conditions. And notable was an F1 marigold called Big Duck, for its orange color, like a rubber ducky, what color they are, you know, yellow or orange. Not necessarily big flowers. These are African types, or they call them American types, as I think Bodger used to, but big in height. This joins Little Duck, which is their more compact American marigold. And this comes in 3 colors. They also do a lot with Vinca, and their Vinca look really impressive. Don't know anybody who's grown them yet, but I'd be curious to see how they fare against the prime competition. But big flowers on this series called Mega Bloom, and dark red joins the series. And that's about as red as any red Vinca I've seen.
That's right. We walked across the tent and met up with the folks from Royal Van Zanten. And we've got some new asters. These asters, it's part of the, actually there's 2 new series. Tiara are the single flowered flowers, amethyst purple and an elite lavender that you can see there. And then we also have the Showmakers, which are the doubles, and this is the Lilac Sunset. Oh, and there's another one called Snow White, not pictured. Quite nice.
And, you were going to cover the Alstroemeria as well here?
Sure. We've got some Alstroemeria. This used to be known as the Princess Lilies, but it has a new name. It's called Colorita. This one is called Elaine Orange.
That's a different color right there. I love ranunculus, and you hardly ever see them out there. Schonevel breeding has a new series called Sprinkles Dwarf series. Natural dwarf, about half the height, as you can see from my buddy Tom Cruise there, showing how compact it is compared to one other one. No PGR is needed. 6 colors available. Sprinkles Dwarf. And talk about real displays. Love finding ways to sell that product. Hort Couture did a beautiful job setting the table, so to speak, on the barn to table meets Hort Couture. And on the settings highlighted one of their new varieties. They were also showing their culinary introduction. They've introduced 7 different editors in the past two seasons.
Just an aside, Chris, you are sounding horrible for some reason, and I'm not sure. Maybe other people can hear better. You're getting a little.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself. You keep talking. We're on to your part.
I'll keep talking. So we're talking about the culinary stuff. Hort Couture has released a bunch of edibles, 72 edibles in the past 2 years. I'm not sure if Chris said that because I couldn't understand a word he was saying. But part of the program are things like the basil pesto collection, and these different varieties of basil are selected for their high oil content. And they also have a bunch of new tomatoes. I would call them craft tomatoes, tomato mixology collection. 7 varieties of patio-sized plants that grow to about 3 to 4 feet tall, with heirloom-style fruit. And these, I believe, were bred by a guy named Brad Gates. And I did a little research on him, and he is the tomato guy. He does a lot of great tomato breeding of these really fun types of plants.
Unfortunately, we didn't have any pictures of those tomatoes. How am I sounding now, Ellen?
You sound way better.
Oh, see, it's I warned you. Every time I do a webinar, somewhere about 45 minutes in, the sound gets funny. It's an internet thing or it's a software thing. It's not me. I'm still using a fancy microphone, but hopefully we'll last here. But thanks for bearing with me. A few of the non-edibles, well, you can eat anything, but sometimes I do. I love this. Speaking of funny names, Cyperus, or I should say clever names, a little in denial. Cyperus, a little in denial, naturally compact. Senecio, they could have called this on steroids. This is crushed velvet. Basically, it's like a giant man-eating dusty miller, grows to 2 feet tall.
Quite nice.
And then a geranium glitterati, sort of the real fancy, almost heirloom-style geraniums. This is called Diva Queen. Now, we got to keep moving, Ellen.
Yes, let's keep going. We're going
All right. So take us through Suntory.
Yes, Suntory. So what we have here is the Petunia Surfinia Trailing Red. So this joins deep red and red, and trailing red has a bit of a cascading habit to it. Habit is similar to heavenly blue. And I read in my notes that they're calling this an architecture that consumers are looking for. So it's a nice full plant.
Good looking baskets there. This is one of my favorites just for a lot of reasons. Million Bells Butter Pop. Don't need to say much about it. It's just a beautiful Calibrachoa.
It was the year of the Bidens, that's for sure. We've got a new addition to the Bee Dance series. This one is yellow. It's a solid color, and it joins the painted red and red stripe, which were not solid. And they also have put some of those Biden's Bee Dance into their mixes. And all of the mixes that have the word bee in it have the Bidens.
Like Bee Bananas and Bee Colorful. Bee
That's right.
They have 4,000 different sun parasols now. That's only a slight exaggeration, but they've added giant pure white, which I think would blend nicely with any of them.
Quite nice.
And then also sort of some post-Euro-American news, because they had been partners on a lot of things. Sonetti and Soiree are now available to everybody, open availability, and they're also now offering unrooted cuttings in some of their lines, including Sun Parasol Originals, Soiree, Sonetti, and Grandessa. So ask your favorite broker or root and sell about some of the new offerings from Suntory in unrooted cuttings. All right, across another aisle, Ellen. Ellen, do you have the blues?
I'm gonna.
You're about to. The 2 varieties I'm going to highlight from Plant Haven, or we're going to, are both blue. First is Salvia Rhythm in Blues. It's Salvia cross Garantia. It's very deep blue, glossy foliage. And they're doing POP that you see there as well. That's available from HIP printers. And a lot of people were talking about this little specimen.
That's right. This Cordalis, or as I call it, Cordalis, porcelain blue. That looks like the fakest color ever. But it's real. And it is a color that you rarely see in nature. Grows, it's like the perfect plant. It stays somewhat compact, 12 by 12. Loves the sun, loves the shade, loves the heat, loves the humidity. Zone 5, so I can grow it grows and flowers all year long. There's no summer dormancy at all. And I believe, oh, one of my favorite quotes from these British folks, it doesn't go wonky in the middle. So,
I hate when that happens.
Yes, me too. And I believe it is from China by way of Dan Hinckley.
There you go. All right. Florist always shows lots and lots of gerberas. We really like this particular edition. It's the Patio Berries and Cream, which is kind of a mixture. It's a blend of creams and pinks.
Quite nice. And what we have here is it's just a retail concept called the Pure Blooms concept. They're basing this on research developed out of NASA about what plants clean the air the best. And I guess gerberas were one of those plants that do some air cleaning.
Yeah, you know, it's old research, but I'm glad we're reminding, you know, the industry that, hey, take advantage of the benefits of plants. Yeah, they're beautiful, but they're good for you too.
They're good, exactly. And some people will buy it just because of that.
There you go. Speaking of good for you, this is a company called Prudak, which is a strange name for a company. It means production and research for decoration and consumption. When you break it all down, and they do a lot of different edibles. This is an allium called Quattro. It's an F1. Flavor-wise, it's like a cross between garlic and onion. More tender than your usual chives, they say. And you can, of course, use the flowers sprinkled around as a culinary edible or as an ornamental. So that's a fun little variety there. And
I've done that with my chives.
Yeah, use it like that.
Yeah. And last from them is this pepper called the Pilar pepper. There's a red one and a yellow one, red, sweet yellow. And all of the fruits are produced at the bottom of the plant. And I know for me, I was like, woohoo, that's excellent, because I don't have to stake my peppers and they won't fall all over the place.
I think it's just Pillar. I think your friend is Pilar. You mix the two up.
Right.
It's a pillar of peppers. All right, we're going to keep banging along here. Time is running out, and there's still slides to go. Windmill Nursery is an interesting little retail place, as you see here, with about 6 or 8 different companies. Terra Nova is one of them. Lots of interesting little perennials and annuals. Louisia Constant is one of their collections, and there's 2 new ones there. Constant Fuchsia and Constant Coral. These are both part of their Waterwise collection, because these are good, like alpine natives. In fact, did you know, Ellen? I didn't. These are named for Meriwether Lewis of Lewis and Clark fame.
I'm pretty sure I knew that.
Well, you've got a master's degree, so you should have. Or the test, I'm sure.
Verbascum, we don't see that too often. It's part of their pollinator collection. It's from tissue culture. Compact as far as verbascums go, with big blooms that you can see there, and a lot of them compared to the seed varieties. About 18 inches tall. No vernalization is needed for this. 6 colors in all, and it's hardy to zone 5.
There you go. Now I'm going to go right past it. They do a lot of coleus at Terra Nova, and they had some new ones of those. But you got to talk about their Heuchera and Heucherella, Ellen.
That's right. This is Forever Red, and the name is good because it's staged red, true red, from spring through fall. They also have a Forever Purple, which I assume stays purple all season long. And moving on to the Heucherella, Heucherella, which is that combo of Heuchera and Tiarella. We don't have a photo of it. Maybe it's because it was just, we couldn't see it because it is the first black Heucherella. It's called Heucherella Onyx. Has nice glossy foliage as well. White flowers are a nice contrast to the plant. Hardy to zone 4.
Hey, and well, I'm going to show you something really crazy in a second. J. Berry Nursery out of Texas was exhibiting out at Spring Trials for their very first time. We've seen a lot of their varieties at the Tropical Plant Industry Exhibition, or International Exhibition as it's now known, but we have not seen their black diamond crepe myrtle. They've got 9 different colors of black diamond. They've got reds, whites, various pinks and purples. Really nice looking container plant. But one of the most interesting things, could have been the craziest, you talk about fake colors, this is a perennial hibiscus collection that they plan on introducing from a Texas breeder. They say we may actually see real live plants and flowers by June of 2018. It's a perennial hibiscus, not a tropical, zone 5. And look at that blue. You think that cordalis that porcelain was a fake looking color. I think that's photoshopped. But we will see.
We will see. That's for
perennial
sure.
hibiscus from Jay Berry, so stay tuned to that. And kiwi flora, new to trials last year. A lot of the things they do are in the Sunset magazine and or the Southern Living magazine plant collection, which says they really do well across a wide range of climates. Agapanthus, brilliant blue as a Floridian. I love Agapanthus. I think it's a great underused variety. And how about this lavender?
That's right, Merlot lavender. It's part of the it's an Alardii species, something you don't normally see around places. Also part of the Sunset and Southern Living plant collections. And this just shows you how versatile lavender can be, because we're not growing this for the flowers. We're growing it for that variegated toothed foliage.
All right, last at Windmill, Kienzler. And there's Andreas Kienzler himself showing off a couple of the Biden's Bizarre collection. He is holding Funny Honey, and Ellen is holding Firewheel. Very compact varieties compared to the Bee Dance series, but not as vigorous either. So that's the Bizarre collection.
Quite nice. And they have a couple of petunias. One of them is this petunia Veranda Blue Picotee, bred by none other than David Curley. Great for hanging baskets, and compared to the Surfinias, but it's a little bit earlier than those. Looks great with others in the Verdana series, including Verdana Red and Rose Morn. But that's Verdana Red right there.
Yeah, we just missed that one for the 4th of July.
Mm.
All right. Here's a place we wouldn't normally stop at for spring trials, a giant orchid grower called Shisan Orchids, which was the temporary home to 3 Israeli companies, Jaldedi, Cohen, and Hishtil. And Thunbergia, something Jaldedi's been doing a long time. This is their Arizona collection, and it gets the addition of several colors, including Pink Beauty, which I especially liked for the contrast between the pink outer petals and that deep red eye. There's also a Rose Sensation, a White Halo, and Glow Orange. So now there's 8 in the Arizona collection.
And it's Odontia. That sounds like a dental procedure. This is called Elegance Princess. It's part of the Mallow family, which is also part of the hibiscus family. It's a nice little bushy annual plant. And grow it in 6-inch pots or larger. It's even though it is an annual, it does get kind of big and bushy. The new buds on it are produced along the stem, not just at the top. So that is something that helps it keep flowering all season long.
I think you'd make a nice little topiary out of that if you'd wanted to, probably. Alternanthera, this is something I don't necessarily think of you need a big collection of, you know, interesting little component plant. Cohen has 11 different Alternanthera from various breeders, you know, all kinds of textures and colors. They say this is great in an urban landscape as well, like as a kind of a ground cover, or, you know, the edge of a path, tough, drought tolerant. So you might want to give Alternanthera a try. And Ellen, more. What is it with you and the Bidens? Every time I turn around, there's more Bidens. I
don't know what it is. It's a nice plant. I'm getting to really appreciate it. This is Biden's Bee Giant Yellow. giant because those flowers are quite big. A nice round habit and early to flower.
All right, Bracteantha. This is the first Bracteantha series we've seen. It's brand new. It's called the Hello series. 6 different colors and lots of experimentals coming along. Pretty uniform for Bracteantha, which tend to be a little bit up and down. So it's a good-looking thing to look forward to. And again, with the those bouquet flowers, I had to call this one out. This is a verbena lapel called Mickey Red Rose. Mickey for the little ears on the flowers.
Histeel has a whole bunch of very interesting herbal, edible kinds of plants. This is called Mertensia maritima. It's in the borage family, and it's also known as the oyster plant. It has an interesting, salty, oystery flavor to it. You can use it fresh or cook it up like spinach. And Chris, you did a little bit of Googling here, and you found out that it was native to the gravel coasts of North America and Greenland.
Yes, it is, and it tastes like it too. It really does. It tastes like the seashore, and it's got those little blue flowers on it, sometimes called the sea bluebells.
And we've got 2 more items here. A nice upright mint, which you don't see very often. It does well in a pot. This is called Mentha Jessica's sweet.
I forgot to add Jessica into that slide, so let's give Jessica some credit for having a mentha named after her.
It's vigorous but won't overcrowd anything. And then on the right we have a cascading prostrate type rosemary called Haifa, which is named for the city in Israel. Home to the famous Baha'i gardens, and I believe this might have been maybe snipped from those gardens. I'm not sure.
That was the implication I got.
Yeah, good for baskets.
One more edible. I'm going to cover this one. It's interesting. It's an Oxalis tuberosum called Crimson and Gold, and what many people probably don't know is Oxalis tubers are edible. They make little potato-like tubers. They grow in the Andes. And my friend Pat Fitzgerald from Ireland actually raises young plants of this, and there's a commercial market to grow these Oxalis tubers. This is actually a photo taken from his booth at IPM. We didn't get to see this, but I wanted you to see what the little edible tubers are like. So if you're interested in that, try some Oxalis tuberosum Crimson and Gold. Wrapping up some experimental Gara that looked pretty good and compact for perennial Gara. And another interesting one, Histeel's grafted basil. They're working on grafted Calibrachoa. Not just topiary, but grafted Calibrachoa. So that's a few other things to look forward to from them. And then our last stop of this tour, not too far to go, was Dümmen Orange, which instead of having 2 different stops, one at a winery and one at a brewery, only had one at the winery. So we went a little thirsty this time. But a great stop. And the first thing we saw was another one of the really interesting new varieties of the whole trials. This is a New Guinean patience called Wild Romance. Now, this is a true New Guinea. It's not one of the new hybrids that's out, like Sun Patience or what have you. But it's got 7 to 8 flowers on each plant, double. So a really big premium plant. You can kind of see them there. They almost look like gardenias when you first walk in. That's how big and showy those semi-double and double flowers, which I think how we would categorize it. Just 2 colors, the white and the blush for now, but they say more colors are coming. It's Wild Romance.
Quite nice. And then we've got something new, I think. It's a trailing coleus, and they have a series of them, 4 different colors, all different colors and leaf shapes as well. This series is called Great Falls, and and they're named after the Great Falls of the world, like Niagara, Angel Falls, Yosemite Falls, and Equaza.
I thought Yosemite was the Great Sams of the world. I guess I'm mistaken on that.
And the Great Sam, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can also find them in their confetti mixes. And those are called Confetti Great Falls. This one is named Amazon Safari.
Yeah, they had several, I think 4 different ones where they add the Great Falls into the confettis. And this is another, I couldn't catch the name on this, so the basket turned while I was trying to snap his picture there.
Okay, and then we also have some nannies that are in with the confetti mixes. And the nannies are, it's the category of Calibrachoa that's the smallest that they offer.
Kind of like Nano, except Nani, which sounds a bit more Hawaiian to go with their whole Aloha Kona sort of a theme.
Yes, this one is called Nouveau.
There you go. Verbena Empress Sun is I think it's a whole new series, and this is a landscape type. Large flowers, mildew resistant. They're putting this one out there against Endurascape. So that's Empress Sun Verbena.
The opposite end of Nani is Bloomtastic. These are their largest, most vigorous Calibrachoa. And I have written down here, they're also shiny. Heat and humidity tolerant, phenomenal garden performance, they say. They were limited last year, and they have just 2 varieties right now, 2 colors. One is Rose Quartz, and I believe the other one's called Serenity.
That's right. Rose Quartz is in the foreground, and Serenity is the more lavender one there in the background. So we'll have some more colors on those. I should have put that up with the rest of the Calibrachoas and saved the Verbena, but there you go. Because here's one more. Love the color on this. This is Aloha Kona. Kona's kind of their more compact, not their most compact of Calibrachoas. And that is a vivid yellow. Pure, clean, very nice. And then, you know, Ellen, I'm always looking for interesting names for flowers.
Yes, you are.
And I've always wondered, why are salmon and coral the only varieties that I can think of named after fish? And Dümmen took care of me. They've named a Petunia starfish. So now we have a third that I can think of flower color named for a fish. That's the pretty purple and white one up there. And then Cherish, which rhymes with fish, is the vivid red Petunia there to the right.
Wasn't there a lobster bisque?
You know, I think you might be correct. I have to go back through our notes on that one.
Dahlias. I love dahlias. And this is in their XXL series. I believe that means they're very large. And the color here is called Tabasco. Great plant. And I had my notes, it's the first time in 3 years that they have an addition to this series.
Big flowers, great color, great name.
And lots of other colors to the Temptations. We've got orange and purple and velvet red. These are the fully double dahlias with dark foliage and dark stems.
All right, getting near the end, a new begonia collection called Iconia. And these are garden begonias that they're kind of categorizing as a luxury product. A couple of years ago, they introduced one called Lucky Strike, which was just one of my favorite plants of the whole trials. It was absolutely stunning. Now they've got an upright white to go with it, and this is Miss Malibu. So this is sort of a premium, upscale product for your garden center. And, you know, here's another one. This is old crop, fuchsias, but there's a lot of interest in it, and they're spectacular. And Dümmen showed that they've got like 50 different ones coming out of their farm down in Guatemala, and they do both the heirloom types, you know, the old standards like Dark Eyes and Swing Time that you know so well, along with modern genetics like this one called Aretes Rimini. And look at the number of flowers on that. Day length neutral, just as floriferous could be. So if you're interested in fuchsias, try out Dümmen. And then again, we love displays, Ellen, and they had some nice ones here. Just some concepts.
That's right. They were really the first stop we saw that had some purposefully put together retail display concepts. So I appreciated that. They had 4 or so in all. One was with the herbs. This is the Savor the Flavor. Love the packaging that they have going along with it. Effortless Autumn how you can make fall easy for your customers. And this is Kindergarten. It's for the kids. It's just making gardening fun and with the simple flowers, the colorful flowers, things that are related to pollination. And then the last one is called Grab and Grow. So it basically takes you through the steps of how to put a container together. So you've got, you grab it, you look for something else that goes with it, and you get that and you go out the store.
In some neighborhoods, you may want to call that grab, pay, and grow. But that's
pay first.
And last but hardly least, perennial combos. They showed a bunch of them, and this is a new trend I think should catch on. They're challenging, but when you see them at places like Dümmen or Darwin often shows some nice ones in Kieft, you really see that there's some great possibilities of the perennial combos. So. And we're going to close with Dave the Rooster, who showed up at Dümmen's trial, just like Ellen and I did, and Jen Zerko, but he hung around and made himself at home there. So, Ellen, I think that covers, well, the lower half of the trials.
That's right.
Next, and that was, I think, the busier half. I think it's going to be a little less crunched for time next time around. I don't see any questions popping in other than the one we already answered. So if you have some, you can email either of us. It's our first initial and last name at ballpublishing.com, ewells@ballpublishing.com or cbeytes@ballpublishing.com, and we'll do our best to get you some accurate information about that. If you had to drop off, well, then you're not hearing this right now, but if you want to watch it again because we went too fast, or you want to share it with somebody, it will be available this afternoon or by tomorrow morning at ballpublishing.com/webinars. Elaine has a question about the perennial forcing guide from Kieft. I'm pretty sure that's available right now. So if you contact your Ball Seed rep or just give Ball Seed a call and say, hey, Chris Beytes told me about a perennial forcing guide, well, they'll probably transfer you right to me, and then Elaine, you and I will chat, but we'll make sure you get one. So that should be no problem getting. We're doing this again, Ellen.
That's right.
You've forgotten. Don't schedule any more beach trips. A week from today, Thursday, same time, same place, July 13th, where we cover the rest of the fun new stuff from spring trials. We hope you, if you haven't signed up for it yet, go to ballpublishing.com/webinars and do so now. Seats are filling up fast. Tickets are going. But it's free because of our wonderful sponsor, Ball Flora Plants.
Thank you.
All right, Ellen. On behalf of you, my partner in crime, I love doing this with you every year. Let's do it for at least another 8 or 9 years. And on behalf of everybody here at Ball Publishing who does the hard work, so I don't have to, I'm Chris Beytes saying, see you next time, everybody.
Goodbye.